Hi, I'm Emma, she, her.
And I'm Jess, she, her.
And this is Fluff,
the podcast about friendship, love, unfortunate failure, and fun.
Now I'm going to pee my pants with excitement about this topic.
Why is that, Emma?
Oh my God, we are talking about food
Yummy,
today.
yummy.
And literally, food is the topic I think about 24/7.
And that we discuss 24/7.
Yeah.
And text each other about 24/7.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're talking about our loves of different foods throughout this. We have some live eating happening as well.
We're going to have actually quite a bit of live eating.
Yeah, go on then.
Well, there was quite a lot of prep went into this episode.
I prepped for a bit too long, and Emma literally said to me, it sounds like you're eating more than prepping.
Yeah, so yeah, it's surprise food that we've got for each other.
And of course, we've got some anecdotes, a bit of research around veganism. We are both vegans. We're also going to be look at kind of religion as well, because we'd quite like to kind of understand what some words mean as well. So what does it mean to be eating halal? What does it mean to be eating kosher? And again, just another content warning for you lovely listeners. We will again be mentioning and exploring a little bit around eating disorders. We'll let you know when we discuss that.
Exactly.
And that is because Emma and I cannot talk about food without kind of relating to our experience of eating disorders.
I think we can't talk about it without talking about our relationship with food, how it's developed, how it's changed, and where we're at now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what are we drinking, Jess?
Well, Emma, we have got a lovely espresso martini today.
I am a mega fan of the espresso martini.
I love them too, Emma, and they can be done so wrong. These are actually canned ones.
These ones might be done wrong, we don't know.
But they are by the very own brand Kahlua, which is what I would use in my own espresso martinis. The reason we haven't got the real one is because you do need like a real espresso shot.
Yeah.
But I saw these in the shop, so I thought I'd give them a go. So they are made by Kahlua. So a good espresso martini should have a real espresso shot in it, some vodka, and then like another kind of liquor in it, maybe Kahlua. You could do it with Cointreau even.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Delicious. And the key to a good espresso martini is you have to shake it. Because you want that nice froth on the top.
Yeah.
If it hasn't got a froth, I'm so disappointed and I will send it back.
Do you know, I've never had one without a froth. I just wouldn't recognise it.
Well, yeah, exactly. It isn't a real one. But what do you think by looking at the can, Emma?
I mean, the can says velvety smooth on the front, which sounds lovely. And it's listing coffee liqueur, which is Kahlua, a dash of vodka, and magic nitro foam is what it says.
I mean, it sounds great.
So, because I suppose it came from the tin and it just made the foam by itself without shaking. So, I guess it has to have some sort of artificial way of making that in here. So, hopefully it tastes good. Yeah.
And it says that it's 2 servings per can, but we did buy 2 and we've got the other one here for safety.
Just in case.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Smells great. I mean, yeah, I could do with more vodka. Check the percentage.
It also feels light on...
It's 4.5%!
It also feels light on the coffee.
I'm going to go and get the vodka. I'm not even going to entertain this.
Beat around the bush this time.
Bear with me.
I think the main thing is, the lie here is that it says martini. And martini is... Do we need ice?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, all right. That's just tap away.
Emma, can you tap it over there, please, whilst I pour the vodka?
Classic sound.
Emma says, you're always making noise.
She is. You are a noisy, just person in the world. It's not a problem. It's just I know where you are at all times.
I find I'm always making a sound without even realising. Which is why, podcast listeners, you may have seen our story this week that I've had a really good sleep, and that is because Emma and Ingrid now sit with me until I fall asleep.
Because she needs the sound, and we speak at full volume. The sound and the company.
Exactly. It's very sweet, and I've had 2 9-hour sleeps. So we're just stirring in the vodka. Got a bit of ice. So let's try this again, shall we, Emma?
It's taken a bit of the nitro foam. Oh no, it's come back.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's more like it.
Better. Yeah.
So we have discovered that if you buy £1 cans from a supermarket, they have got 4% volume. So that is What Are You Drinking? I'm so much happier with that now, Emma.
Good.
But today we are also doing a special edition of What Are You Snacking?
Yay! So we've each prepared a special snack and we haven't showed each other what it is. So I'll go first.
Ooh, can I close my eyes?
I don't think you need to. It's underneath a bowl.
Yeah, this looks like I'm in a French
have a
restaurant.
reveal anyways. And you don't need to close your eyes for this one. This is just our snack. So, just a...
Oh!
I haven't actually tried it, so who knows
Hello.
if this is delicious or something else.
So, Ella, can I say what I think you have prepared me as a snack?
Of course.
So I'm seeing some kind of thin cracker bread, and it looks like it's got herbs in it. Then vegan cream cheese, which I'm salivating at because we know it's a good one from Morrison's.
Yep.
And then we have some dates, beautifully halved on top. And then my favourite little bit of Thailand treat, some sweet chili sauce.
That is 100%.
Oh my God. Just a swallowing.
That's just accurate. You got it all in one there. Ooh. I don't know about the combination. I mean, I love cream cheese with dates. I love the sweet chili sauce with cream cheese. I didn't think about putting them all together. I was going to use grapes, but then I thought, do you know what?
I was going to do grapes and cheese as well, but I got swayed the other way. But this is a bit like Lebanese meets Thailand meets good crackers. Well, we're going to try, listeners. Thank you. I'm also really hungry. Oh, the kick of chili. Oh my God, Emma Bar.
It's a good combo.
Beautiful.
Yeah, happy with that.
Emma, podcast listeners fully recommend it. It's very sweet, creamy from the cheese. That herb in the cracker works well. And that kick of chili really is nice.
So this is a salt and sweet mixture, which is, I think, the trick to happiness. Mixing the two flavours together. So they've got the cream cheese is quite salty on its own, but when you have the sweet and the spice all in one, delicious.
You can serve that at a dinner party.
Thank you. I will.
I'm so impressed.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you're going to be impressed with mine.
Why? I'm excited.
You can remove an element from it if you don't like it. I'm kind of testing Emma in something.
Are you? Testing? Oh. Now I'm nervous. I hate surprises, everyone.
Yeah, Emma actually really hates this. So I'm just going behind the curtain.
To surprise land.
Okay. So there is something you can remove from it. I know you like everything else on this.
Okay.
But Emma Bar.
Let's see. Ah!
So what is it?
So she has given me some toast here with some pesto, it looks like, and then vegan cheese, and then there's capers and sun-dried tomatoes. So all that 100% into. But there's a layer of crisps, everyone.
Which is throwing back to an earlier episode where Emma has completely dissed my love of crisps in a sandwich. But I'm curious for you to have a bite, but you can totally remove them.
I'm obviously going to do it, but I also just am a bit stressed about like the logistics of eating this.
It's quite messy.
It's an open-faced scenario, so the crisps are just going to tumble to the ground.
Well, let's have a try. There's also liquid seasoning on there.
Oh, that's Jess's secret special ingredient.
For everything.
Which is not so secret because I can always taste it.
Oh.
But yeah,
I put a lot of it on. Cheers.
Yeah. It's alright, yeah. I mean, I don't feel like the crisps are necessary. They've not added a flavour to me, you know?
Texture.
And I really like my crisps by themselves.
Well,
but I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it. Yeah.
You can take your crisps off and put them by the side if you want.
No, I'm going to eat it because then I have to undo it all.
Is that your sun-dried tomato or mine?
I think it's yours because you look like you're down one.
I'm just going to take one more bite. Oh, yeah. The pesto. Pesto. It's vegan pesto as well, everyone.
Of course.
So we'll save them for eating throughout.
Yeah, well, if you hear crunching, if we're a bit for this episode, that's because we're actually enjoying ourselves.
They're also fancy crisps. They're kettle crisps.
Yeah, exactly. They're
we
goodies.
were very low on food supplies, but luckily Ingrid just came back from work with some extra bits, which is all on our snacks.
Yeah, we just took them all. I don't know what we would have done if she hadn't returned in time.
I felt a bit guilty during quarantine using the vegan cheese for an episode, but...
Yeah, no. Well, it's just going in our bellies and we need to eat anyway, so...
Exactly,
no
and
worries.
The only place we go out is the supermarket, so we can get more.
So food, I say, literally has shaped my life, but also it just defines my family, like the environment I grew up in. My parents are always talking about, they always joke about how when I was young, my grandmother used to come into the room in the morning, very first thing, before you probably even had breakfast, and sort of state what ingredients she had for dinner. So she'd notoriously come in and be like, without even saying good morning, be like, so I have a roast, and be like planning the dinner. So the whole process of the day with Grandma was about going to the shop to get the ingredients for dinner. So like life is shaped around food. My brother's become a chef. My family is just, when we get together, we work out in the morning in order to be able to eat and drink all day.
And luckily, Emma, we have that similar planning. Whereas, like, Ingrid is sometimes expressed, like, I'm not thinking about dinner yet, or I've just eaten breakfast. Why am I thinking about lunch? But Emma and I love to plan and know what we're going to have for dinner tonight.
Right. She's someone who talks about forgetting to eat, and that is just, I almost am envious of that kind of freedom. But no, the food is how everything is planned. Exactly.
And I also constantly think about food and what I'm going to eat. But just to share podcast listeners, and I've mentioned in a previous episode, between the ages of 14 and 21, I had a severe eating disorder, and that was my whole entire life. Those years were completely the eating disorder. I am recovered, and I feel fully recovered. I've felt fully recovered for years, and I have a much stronger and healthy relationship with food. However, I suppose sometimes I have to distinguish. I'm like, does everyone else think about food this much? Is it my history with eating disorders, or is it just me being a human who loves food? But what I would say is that it just means that I do need a bit of a safe and secure environment around me with food. So that's important with me in friendships and in a partnership. I will support anyone else with an eating disorder because I have that empathy. But I do kind of have to keep structured. So I'm not somebody who ever skips a meal, even if I'm not hungry. Because for me, I had to retrain myself.
And I think just off the back of that, I've never had an eating disorder, but I do have a very love-hate relationship with food and my body. And I feel like I've sort of battled that forever. Ingrid jokes that the most guaranteed way she knows to make me smile is to say she's going to offer me a snack. And she said that to me, and that made me feel so horrible about myself, because I do know that food is constantly on my mind, and I don't actually feel like I have a healthy relationship with food today or at any point. I can't remember a time in my life where I did have a healthy relationship with food. That's just something that I'm going to share with you, and I'm sure there are many listeners who feel similarly. I know that most of my siblings feel the same way. So it's complicated.
Yeah, and it's a complication that I sometimes wish just wasn't there in a way. Like with my ex, I was very lucky that she was so understanding, because how can you not when I've explained my history? But it did mean that sometimes, team, I have had tantrums as a full-grown adult. If the food hasn't turned out right, or if a meal has come wrong and I'm starving, that does send me into a bit of a panic, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm hungry though, I need to eat now, or oh my gosh, the meal isn't right. And I do have like laying on the bed crying because, I don't know, the sauce burnt a little bit, or it didn't have enough salt in it or something.
Yeah.
But I just was so my reactions can be extreme sometimes if I'm comfortable with that person. But if I'm not with somebody who's comfortable and I'm sitting with people who I'm panicking inside, that can be really difficult. Emma and I were discussing that it's a key part of our relationship, that understanding. And so thank you, Emma, for that.
We can't talk about food without talking about how all of our feelings connected to it. But we're not going to spend the whole episode on that. Exactly. I promise. So to get started, to kick things off, we're going to start nice and light and cheery and exciting with what our favourite meals are. Yeah. Our favourite breakfast, lunch, dinner and snack.
Absolutely. So should I kick off with breakfast, Emma?
Yes, please.
So my daily breakfast is a smoothie, as Emma well knows. I've been banned from using the blender before 9 a.m. on the weekend, because sometimes I mistakenly think they're awake and I'm in the kitchen like, but I love my daily smoothies, which have a fuck ton of nut butter in them. But otherwise, my favourite is just avocado on toast, like a nice whole grain toast. Lots of nice avocado. I'd like a bit of like leaf on top, a bit of rocket maybe. And then I want some spice on there. Maybe just throw on some nice fried mushrooms, wilted spinach. And you've got me hooked right in, baby.
I'm salivating. Breakfast, I think, is my favourite meal of the day. So people who skip breakfast, shock me. Because how amazing is it that you can wake up and eat? That's so exciting. Anyways, so my favorite breakfasts, I've got a few listed here. My dad's pancakes. I think it's even just the emotional journey around them. You like help him make them. It's like the one thing he makes. It means everyone's home. It's special occasion. Yeah. And that also means I'm in Canada with real fucking amazing maple syrup.
Yeah. And you taught me the other day, Emma, which I didn't realise about pancakes. You said the pancake is the vessel to soak up the syrup.
Yeah, the pancake itself doesn't need much flavour. It's just sort of flour and a few other things. So it's just literally for soaking up the sauce.
Yeah. Brilliant.
That's so true.
Emma does make amazing pancakes.
Yeah, I make some really cool vegan ones now. They're not my dad's, but they're pretty nice. Oh, actually, this list, when I was making it, I was making sounds. So number 2 is something called cinnamon nuts, which are so not vegan and I can't have them anymore. But they're basically long bits of dough that have been knotted together and covered in cinnamon sugar. Yeah. And and butter. That's the thing.
I sent you a recipe yesterday, didn't I, for vegan cinnamon bread?
Yeah, which sounds amazing. But these cinnamon nuts are only made in one bakery in one part of rural Canada. And anyone who knows this and it's like from my childhood will know that you cannot. That is like the breakfast of heaven. It's like pure sugar.
The butter, right?
It's the butter. It's the sugar. It's disgustingly amazing. It's so good. But also avocado on toast and a full cooked vegan breakfast as well.
We have it on a Sunday and we have like roasted potatoes with vegan mayonnaise, which is really yummy, isn't it? So we've had breakfast. We love breakfast and we're thinking about lunch if we weren't thinking about it 2 days before. So lunch for me, Emma and listeners, I love a really good salad. Now, I'm not saying this is in like just a few leaves. It has to have like roasted vegetables in it. I want avocado in it again. I want hummus on top of it. I want lentils or some kind of bean in there. And when I'm saying roasted vegetables, I mean like roasted sweet potato, courgette, peppers, and then like some really nice bread with like buttered hot bread maybe, and then balsamic vinegar over the top. Any kinds of, and loads of pickles. Like pickled gherkins, pickled sauerkraut, pickled capers, pickled fennel, pickled beetroot.
Yeah, all the good stuff.
Everything you want in that salad.
Everything pickled or fermented is the best thing you can ever have.
And everything chickpea.
And so that's your lunch, salads.
Salads, but whack the bread on the side, please.
Yeah, amazing. Lunch for me, so Jess and I have opposites because my dinner, I'll actually come to you as a salad. I like to have a light dinner, heavy lunch, and Jess likes to have salad, lunch, bigger dinners. So my lunch is sandwich. I've written here, a sandwich is literally a gift from heaven. And I mean 2 pieces of fresh made bread with everything you can find pushed in the middle.
Yeah.
So good. Bit of crunch, bit of nice spreads, all the roasted veg, kind of like everything you put in your salad, just between bread.
Yeah. Whereas I scoop my salad onto the bread.
So kind of, we're eating the same thing in different formats. But I would really like it. It's even more if I've got some vegan cheese and I've been able to melt it all and toast it together.
Ooh,
that's like
yummy.
That's heaven there.
Emma and I remembered the George Foreman grill 2 days ago, didn't we? And we were like, when we used to press our sandwiches
or
in
any panini press is amazing. Ingrid's turned me on to pasta for lunch. She makes the best pasta. And so when I'm here, that's what I have more often.
Yeah, and Ingrid does make amazing pasta. Is she Italian? And I remembered, Emma, before COVID, when you were in London during the week for studies, Emma and I were having sleepovers all the time. And it was so nice to make lunch for each other, depending on where we were staying. And we just were making little packed lunches. And I loved it because I used to always do that for my partner. And I love gifting food. And it was just so nice to send Emma off with little lunch. And Emma would always make me an amazing wrap.
Yeah.
You are the sandwich or wrap queen.
I love it. Well, actually, you just said something interesting there about making it for your partner. And I feel like the way that I love all of these and most of my memories associated with meals are to do with who you eat them with or who you make them for.
Yeah.
It's so nice to share the experience with people.
I would say that all of my romantic relationships have all been based around delicious food, and they really have been a strong part of it, and that sharingness. And I want to share that the communal aspect of eating, having had an eating disorder where I didn't for 8 years eat with anyone, it was really scary to start eating with other people.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And still to this day, every now and then it might get a bit scary. However, it is the thing that I need to do. It is the way that I keep healthy around it, because I can get, if I just end up in a pattern of eating by myself, that might be, I don't know, it takes the pleasure out of it. And I lived in Thailand, and that was the first time that solely we were communal eating. And it was so nice. We cooked together, ate together, and I feel it just helps keep my healthy relationship with food, to share it and know that it's part of it.
I'm just eating with you now so that you feel really
I've been trying to ignore it for the last 2 minutes. Emma put something in her mouth, didn't want to crunch over me, so he's just holding it like a little hamster. Yeah. But yes, that communal style of eating, as tricky as it may be, sometimes, not often, but reminds me how normal it is, how it's an essential part of keeping us alive, and it should be celebrated.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think we'll talk a little bit more about that later as well. And we did mention it even in dating episode last week about even if you aren't someone who suffers from an eating disorder, eating in front of people is a choice and experience. So
especially when you're first dating and you're like, picking which restaurant based on how messy the food is.
Exactly.
No noodles or spaghetti. Right, so we've had lunch.
Yeah, what's your dinner?
Well, there's many. Going back to childhood, my mum makes the most amazing macaroni cheese. And she makes it quite fancy because she is fancy. Oh, the snacks are a great idea. But in her macaroni cheese, she has like a really mustardy cheese sauce, like rich cheddar. And then fried leeks in there, broccoli and cauliflower. And then when she puts it under the grill, she puts cheese on top and then pine nuts and sesame seeds. So it's got that crunch on top. Delicious. And when I was ill, I used to pretend that I never liked it. And then there was one day where I wrote her a letter when I was feeling quite brave. And I said, by the way, my favourite meal ever is your macaroni cheese.
Why did you pretend you didn't like it?
Oh, because it was scary food.
Why was it scary?
When I was ill.
Oh, when
I was ill.
Oh, sorry. I was imagining childhood. And I was imagining illness as in like a cold, and maybe because that's great comfort food.
It is, and I remember her telling my therapist, like, her favourite food is macaroni cheese. I was like, no, I've never liked it. I hate it. But it is. But moving to now, having lived in Southeast Asia and learning how to cook in Southeast Asia, and this is what I cook for you and Ingrid. It is either a Thai curry. Thai green curry is my go-to, because it's a bit easier to make. Or a pho, so a Vietnamese pho.
Oh my goodness.
I love brothy pho with
Jess
all
makes
the flavours.
Best pho. It's really hard to make a good vegan pho, to be honest, because a lot of the recipes call for bone broth.
Yeah.
And so the broth is so key, and Jess has cracked it. She's nailed it.
And podcast listeners, it's so easy. So if you want a vegan veggie pho recipe, it is so easy. It's actually a Cookie and Kate vegetarian pho recipe. So Cookie and Kate, thank you for that. Easily done, 30 minutes, bish bash bosh. But yeah, I just love the flavours of Thai food, like lemongrass, spice, chili, ginger.
Yeah, it's good stuff, isn't it?
Healthy, like as in healthy immune system, I mean.
Yeah. So my dinner, I absolutely love food from around the world. It's like I love Thai food, I love sushi, I love all of that. And actually, that's probably what I cook more now. But I went back to sort of childhood happy place for my answers. And it's basically anything my mum makes, but specifically my mum's salads. Oh my God. My mum makes salads from, I'm going to say it again, from heaven. Her vinaigrettes are just, I don't understand. I use the same ingredients in the same ratios and it doesn't have the same taste. I feel like it's the love that's missing or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. And she has the high quality lettuce, all the amazing ingredients, and it's so delicious. And we had a salad with every meal my whole childhood.
I was about to say, because I've been lucky enough to spend 2 times in Canada with your family. And whatever the meal is, there's always one of Wendy's salads on the side.
Of course, there's always a salad to finish your meal. And then the other side is soup of any kind. Absolutely love a soup. So a pho is good. Just something in her teeth.
I've got some date string stuck in my teeth.
Okay.
It's so
I can see it.
Help me. I can't talk with it in my mouth.
Oh my God, it's really in there. Oh, it was a long one.
Thank you, Emma.
You're welcome. I feel like we always get to next level.
So salad.
Yeah. No, soup is what I was saying.
Soup.
I love soups. Ingrid and Jess were making fun of me the other day because I am someone who, when I put stuff together, when there's like a layered meal, like something with rice that you put stuff on top, or a salad, I like to mix everything together before I eat it.
Yeah.
And so they were making fun of me about saying you should just put it in the blender. But no, I like the textures, just to clarify. But the point is, a soup is essentially everything in the blender. Often, like, I really like blended soups. And I can think that my favorite soup is probably a Thai sort of lemongrass soup. So same flavors, but I just love something really brothy. And I like that before bed, because then I don't have to digest. It doesn't take as long to digest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Emma. I love a soup. Yeah. It's delicious. So many flavours.
And so good for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, good as in nutritious. Like, you just bang, get it all in there.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Excellent.
But we do like to snack as well, don't we? Speaking of...
I mean, I talk about, I can digest it before bed, but an hour after dinner, the three of us sitting in the other room, we're just waiting for, especially Jess and I, we're just waiting for someone to make the brave move to stand up and go to the kitchen.
And I hate it when, like, somebody stands up when we're watching TV and I'm like, yes, they're going to go and get a snack and they're going to offer it. And then they go to the toilet.
Yeah, or they get a glass of water.
Boo! But we're all as bad as each other. Oh no, not the word bad, but we're all as encouraging as each other.
Yeah.
So speaking of snacks, I mean, I'm just going to put it straight out there. I love nut butter. I love peanut butter, almond butter, cashew nut butter. Can't afford those right now. So peanut butter. But I love whoever I've lived with over the past 10 years in house shares knows this. Yeah. Because at first I do it quite secretively, where I open the cupboard door and stand behind it. And then it eventually becomes where everybody knows what I'm doing. Any time of day you can catch me with not a teaspoon, a big spoon, getting a spoonful of nut butter, and that will be my first mouthful.
And I didn't know this about you. I mean, being your best friend, I didn't realise the extent until I'm now living with you.
And you're only getting the single dip or the double dip. So this means, podcast listeners, the single dip is just the nut butter. Emma has witnessed a couple of double dips, which is I found some jam in the back of their fridge. Not sure how long that's been there.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, but I double dip with jam. Or in this household, living with a Canadian, I get some delicious maple syrup.
Oh.
The triple dip is when it will be like those combinations with a vegan chocolate spread. I once made this random snack one night, didn't I? I had big spoons. It was very clammy. Nut butter, put some granola on top, put some chocolate chips, and then some maple syrup. So when I put nut butter in my smoothie in the morning...
It was literally a spoon. She brought us each a spoon of this creation. Not a bowl, just a spoon.
I don't know if I put more nut... That's fine. Delicious. She's eaten all the crisp sandwich, everybody.
I have.
I don't think she's converted, but...
No, I mean, the flavours are good, but yeah.
It's all right. It's all right. We tried. Thank you for trying.
No, I mean, I enjoyed it. I just wouldn't choose it.
See? Wow. With the nut butters, when I'm making my smoothie in the morning, I think I equally put as huge a dollop or several dollops into the smoothie and as many in my mouth. I'm very glad that Emma and Ingrid are happy to keep purchasing a lot of nut butter for quarantine.
Yeah, but you know, we're vegans, so I feel like, nut butter in a bulk is expensive, but it's not as expensive as if we were eating steaks every night, so who cares if you're having a lot of nut butter. Well done to you.
Thank you. What's your snack, Emma?
I picked it's a new snack. It's a snack that Ingrid has invented and is changed my life. We make our own popcorn, but this is the only time where I'm going to let you say bougie about food. We buy truffle oil from Waitrose, and you put truffle oil and salt on your popcorn, and oh my God, that is literally to die for.
You do have it all the time.
Yeah, we do.
And I hate popcorn until I've had this truffle popcorn.
It's insane. But then I've also put on my list nachos with fresh salsa, but specifically made by my brother.
Yeah.
With guacamole. Specifically also made by my brother. Shout out to Tim.
Because he worked in a Mexican restaurant, right?
Yeah, he was the chef. He started a Mexican restaurant with his friend, and he's done a lot of Mexican in his life. And then the last one is cherries, which is also a shout out to my brother, because there was one occasion where we'd had a really big party in my family one night, and the next morning I everyone was hungover, but I was really hungover. And I'm never the one who's most hungover in my family. So this is like the one occasion. And we were sitting watching TV, and my brother is sat beside me and ate almost a whole bag of cherries and then gave me the like last 5. At the moment, my mum came into the room and she was like, Emma, are you just going to sit there all day and eat those cherries? I literally just started. And now my siblings love to tell that story all the time, and they just accuse me of eating everything, which doesn't help my soul. But
oh, bless you. Because
but
you
it's
need to
true, I love cherries.
Yeah. Well, Emma, I just remembered growing up, we had this cherry tree in our garden.
Oh, lucky you.
We were very lucky.
Lucky bitch.
It was just Kent, everybody. Kent countryside. And we had this gorgeous cherry tree. And when it was the cherry season, I once ate one, and then I swallowed the pip, and I ran inside and I cried to my parents and I said, I've swallowed the pip. And they did a whole saga, kind of like you and Ingrid do with me nowadays, where they sat me down and were like, oh my God, Jessica, you're going to grow a cherry tree inside of you. I was like, no!
Possibly the most gullible person on the planet.
I trust everyone before I distrust them. That's my problem.
Yeah. Yeah. See dating episode.
Absolutely. So those are our favourite breakfast, lunch, dinner and snacks. What are your favourites? Any of them the same? Any of them where you're like, Jess and Emma, what are you talking about? You need to try this.
You can let us know actually by messaging us on our Instagram or our Twitter at Fluff Creatives, or email us at fluffinquiries@gmail.com.
Yay! So Emma and I discovered that we had very similar upbringings with our mothers and food.
Yeah.
So we both ate quite fancy things maybe for young people. Like, for example, I was eating Stilton, prunes, olives, pickles, age 1.
Yeah, there's literally a video of me at my first Christmas walking around with a cracker with salmon mousse on it.
Oh!
And capers on top, singing We Wish You Merry Christmas. And I lift the cracker at one point and the salmon mousse falls on the floor, and I bend down to pick it up because it was so precious to me.
I had an image of you licking it off the floor for a second.
No, but I did.
Emma Bar!
Of course. Not like, you've not burped on Fluff before.
Thematic. So maybe
wouldn't put it past me to lick it off the floor, but I didn't in this occasion. I was still learning my own principles.
Well, what about picking food off the floor in my own company? No problem.
I mean, I just picked a caper off the carpet.
I picked a crisp off the carpet.
Oh, it's cute. We're meant to be. But yeah, we both had quite fancy food as kids, but because we discovered just before planning this episode that both of our parents sort of said that they didn't believe in kid food.
It was literally that,
yeah.
Quoting parents saying, so for example, we have Lunchables in the UK.
Yeah, we have them in Canada as well.
So like little crackers, little piece of ham.
They look, I mean, as an adult, looking back, those are disgusting.
Yeah.
And of course our parents didn't want to have them. But every other kid at school, in my perspective, had a Lunchable.
Yeah.
And that meant they had a cool lunch. I had hummus.
I had hummus, and I was bullied at the dinner table.
Yeah.
They were like, ew, what's that smell?
Yeah.
But my mum was like, we used to say, can I just have like a petit filou or like a kid's yogurt or a kid's chocolate bar? But she was like, no, you can't have that, but you can have like just normal Greek yogurt, or you can have... And she's like, and then we'll put some honey on top. But never anything that was kid.
My mum put so much effort into my lunches, and I was horrible because I didn't like them because they weren't processed like everyone else.
Yeah.
But she used to make, we call them English muffins. Do you have English muffins here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But they're
yummy.
I don't know what they are. I don't think they're English, but whatever. We had those.
Yeah.
She used to cut them in half and make me personal pizzas with capers as smiley faces.
Aww.
She used to, if I had a sandwich, she'd use cookie cutters to like cut them into hearts or into stars.
See, Emma, you still had the play. I remember asking my mum to make my food fun, and I wasn't even allowed that. She was like, food is for eating, it's not for playing with.
Well, my mum would put notes in my lunch. It was all like compartmentalized, super healthy, super balanced. Carrot sticks here, this.
Yeah.
Some hummus, your sandwiches or your pizzas or whatever it was. And she got up every morning and made that for me.
That's love.
And I went saying, I actually want a Mr. Noodles because that's what everyone else is eating.
Yeah, right. No, and well, yeah. So that kind of status around food. So when I was in secondary school, my parents separated. And then that is when I went on to free school meals because finances completely changed in the family. But then I went from having the embarrassing hummus to getting the free hot meal. And I remember it was all the kids were allowed out a little bit earlier to go and collect their free card. And you all waited in the reception area in a queue to collect it. And then you carried your card. And whilst everyone's paying with a cash, you were paying with your card. And obviously that is not a freaking problem. But it was made to feel like a problem at the time. Because it was horrible. You were the free school meal kids. Which was so wrong. But actually also the food at the school was so poor. Like, no, I don't mean poor as in economy. I mean poor as in,
health.
Hurting your belly. Could not focus for the rest of the day.
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like what you eat and how you eat it as a kid really shapes everything you go through in adulthood. And there's so much medical advice about there. Whereas if you let your child, or if a child gains weight from food, from a poor diet in their childhood, that is something they're going to have to manage for their whole life. Because your body learns about how it develops fat. So it's really important to think about how kids are fed.
But then also is your discussions around food in front of your children.
Yes.
And this, I am not connecting my mum's diet in any way to my food problems. I feel like I know where that came from. But I remember my mum also, we had the treat box, which was basically nuts and raisins. Sometimes some dark chocolate chips. But I used to have to kind of count them out and then show my mum. And sometimes I wonder also if you are too restrictive around your kid, or if your kids can see you with food problems. Although I listen to this I love the podcast Hoovering with Jessica Foster Q.
So amazing.
So good. And she is just so fabulous and such a great pioneer around disordered eating and a healthy relationship with food. But also there was an interviewee on there who has bulimia and it's come back to her recently, and she has children, and she was speaking about how she does have to put these restrictions on, and but what she's done is she said, I've explained to my kids that I have, because eating disorders, everybody, are a mental health condition, a serious health condition. They're so serious and they really impact on your whole entire life and being. And for me, it robs you of your life. But she was saying, like, she had to say to her kids, Mummy's not well. So I cannot have these things in the house right now, but we can have these bits here for you. So which is why I also empathise with parents. It's such a difficult thing to navigate.
I think it's a really fine line because, like I said, I have a very complicated relationship with food. And I think a lot of that does come from not necessarily restrictions around it, but does come from conversations of someone saying to me, probably a parent, that's too much, or are you sure you haven't had enough, or commenting on, because I would often be at parties with my parents and there'd be like appetizers everywhere, like bits of bread, bits of hummus, and I'm just going to keep eating it until a parent says stop. But I think it's in the way that you say stop. And then because there were so many types of food that I wasn't allowed ever, period, when I did move away from home or when I went to other people's houses, I would gorge on those. And my parents would leave the house to go to wherever they were doing and leave me home alone or with my siblings. And we would raid like the baking drawer. And I remember as a small child literally scooping my hand into the brown sugar pot. I literally had a nightgown that was ruined on my sleeve from scooping my hand into brown sugar and just eating it.
Yeah, wanting that sugar fix, maybe.
Yeah.
I had family members who I used to go around and they knew that I didn't have the same food in my own household. And they used to say, Jessica, look what we've got you. And so it was so exciting to go around those. I've actually just remembered, Emma, a funny anecdote from when I was 2 years old. I think even less than 2. We were on holiday with all the cousins and aunties and uncles on a little beach holiday.
Yeah.
And we were on the beach. And everyone was like starting to pack up from the morning at the beach and said, oh, should we go and get lunch? And then my mum just went, where's Jessica? Where's Jessica? And everyone was in the sea, up and down the beach, back up to like the little hotel. It was like a seaside resort. Everyone was looking for Jessica. The hotel staff were looking for Jessica. Other holiday people were looking for Jessica. Where did they find Jessica? In the canteen holding a tray.
Aww.
Ready for my lunch.
Yeah.
So it's really hard, I suppose, to just, how do you raise a child healthily around food? It's
I don't know.
Shout out to your parents.
Yeah, I don't think there's a correct answer, and I think you could drive yourself crazy sort of thinking about how do I get enough calories in them? Is that too much calories? How much do they need this calcium versus this? I think there's a lot of different things said as well by different industries that make it hard to sort of negotiate what's the truth and what do they actually need.
Yeah. And then, Emma, there's when you, as the kid, begin to make your own choices. So I went vegetarian really young. I grew up in the countryside and there were lambs around me and horses as well. But I very early knew what was connected. That this is the lamb that I didn't have any friends in the countryside. So I just used to talk to the lambs in the field. And I could connect that these were the things that were being put on my plate. So I decided very early on that I was going to be vegetarian. And then quite early on that I was going to be vegan. And this is a funny anecdote. I am going to tell a little story about, maybe it won't sound funny actually. We'll see how it goes. We can edit it out if not. I did spend 1 year in a hospital for my eating disorder. And when I went in there, I was made to eat fish. And I hadn't been eating fish. And I remember having these long fish fingers that we were always made to eat on a Friday. And I just picked it up and lobbed it across the room because I was like, this is not my eating disorder. I do not eat frickin' animals. But I did do my time. And then when I got better, they did apologise, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be allowed nowadays, but they were kind of like, sorry, we felt like you needed the nutrients. And my mum, I think, did say, do give her fish.
Oh.
But yeah, it was quite difficult. But at the end, they could see that that was me.
Yeah,
and I think that's
not the illness.
And that's taken many years to be like, is this me or is it that?
Yeah, I remember. So I was only vegetarian. Oh, another drink. I was only vegetarian for 1 year longer than I was vegan. So only 6 years ago did I actually officially go vegetarian. I was no red meat before that for a while. But I remember specifically never liking meat. I remember sitting at the table as a kid and being forced to sit there until I ate all the fatty bits of the meat that I'd left because I couldn't deal with fat on the meat. And it was like, it was always a big thing that you had to eat everything that was put on your plate, which was complicated when you didn't like everything that was put on your plate.
Yeah, because again, I know there's again the level of pushing a child to eat things that they might say, but I can understand why maybe you didn't want the chewy fat
But
bit.
I didn't like meat, and I never really liked meat, and it wasn't really accepted when I was little. Now my parents have fully embraced veganism. They're amazing. My mum cooks vegan every time we're home, and in fact, they're mostly vegan because they sort of see the benefits of it. But as a child, if I didn't want to eat that bit of the steak, I was made to sit there until I finished it or cried my way out of it enough. So I do feel like there was sort of that instilled in me. I knew very early on that I didn't like meat, but I came to that choice in adulthood. But right before I moved away, when I was a teen, when I was 16 years old, my mum took me to a naturopath. In fact, we all got tested for food allergies because my brother and sister both are allergic to gluten and dairy. My sister-in-law is celiac. My brother-in-law can't have poultry or nuts. My dad can't have corn, and my mum and I both were tested, and we couldn't have cane sugar.
Right.
Which means
in a lot, right?
Which is basically whenever it says sugar or glucose, that's what it is. Processed sugars. Couldn't have it. So when I was 16, and I was a very round 16-year-old and very aware that I was round because most of my friends were very small people, and I just felt like I stood out a lot, and I really sort of hated my body at that time. And I stopped eating sugar for a year and a half. And was very, very strict with it and lost so much weight. I lost just under 30 pounds and looked very, very different. I was suddenly very happy, blah, blah, blah. Not for the good reasons, but I felt healthier as well. But then I moved away and suddenly was like, oh, do you know what? I could buy Dunkaroos for myself. You know, do you remember Dunkaroos? Do you have those here?
No.
They're basically like biscuits that come with a little pot of icing and you just dip your biscuits in icing. But basically kids had them when they were young and they were basically candy that you'd get in your lunch.
I see. So now you were
Suddenly I was by myself and we had sort of retested and the sugar allergy wasn't as much a problem anymore. And I had just been through mono, again, the kissing disease, where I had smoothies for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 4 months, which is another reason why I can't touch smoothies anymore.
I understand.
And was like, oh my God, I'm just going to eat everything. And then I gained all the weight back and then some. And this happened again when I moved to the UK in my past relationship. we've had difficulty managing what was too much, when to treat yourself. So sort of I eat my feelings as well. So when I'm feeling good or bad, I'm like, oh, let's celebrate with food.
Yes. And I would say, Emma, then off of that, for anyone listening to this who doesn't feel that they have a complicated relationship with food or is always like, I just don't get it, maybe. I suppose we just want to share from our perspective. And we mentioned this earlier, didn't we, Emma, about commenting on other people's eating habits or what they're eating. Try to resist, I would advise, commenting on what somebody is eating or their eating pattern, because we do not know if somebody has disordered eating or eating disorder.
Yeah.
So this is disordered eating is like a difficult relationship with food.
Yeah.
Eating disorder is a mental health condition.
Yeah, exactly.
And also eating disorders can come in many different forms, and you can't tell always if somebody has an eating disorder.
Or who's around you that would hear your comment and then internalize that.
Yeah. And somebody might have made a really big step that day with what they've chosen to eat, maybe, and then if you comment on it, it's really difficult. Or maybe they've eating it and they're feeling so uncomfortable, and then you comment on it, and then that's just gonna completely change your relationship with what they're eating then. And I thanked Emma earlier because it's not, I don't think it's anything to do with my eating disorder from my past, but Emma kind of knows a slight structure around my food and is very respectful of that, and knows that this is healthy, Jess, this is the things I like, and not to push me into anything else. Similarly, I also so as Emma said, we have different
sides to it.
Yeah, and so I like a smoothie in the morning, whereas Emma, you prefer something that fills you up a bit more.
Yeah.
And we just don't push each other or judge anyone on that.
We know we have different reasons for that.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I just want to talk about culturally as well with food. Oh, people I remember people commenting on other people's food because it was not what they expected, maybe as their British food at school. And that is just so rude.
So commenting on what anyone else is putting into their body is just inappropriate, because it's not for you to have a say on that.
And also, I hate it when people maybe get over you and then poke their finger in it. I hate it.
Yeah.
That is like, for me, please just leave me with my meal.
So if you take away anything from this episode, take away that. Just keep it to yourself. So I was thinking about complicated relationships with eating, and how Jess has talked a lot about how eating communally helps her keep balance. And I also feel like being in lockdown and not being any alone time is very good for my eating habits, because being alone is when I binge. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of stories. In fact, this has happened more than once, but there's one specific time I remember where I went to Walmart. I was driving at this point, and this is literally right after recovering from mono. I went to Walmart and I was getting a snack for my 15-minute drive home, which I did frequently, and I didn't tell anyone. That was like, car eating was like the secret best time. And I bought this tray of 6 butter tarts, which are at a Canadian thing, but they're basically brown sugar and butter in a tart.
Right.
They're massive. They are a fuck ton of calories per tart. I bought 6. I got in the car. I literally shoved one in my face. And then I took another one and shoved it in my face. And then immediately you sort of feel the guilt of doing it as well. And was like, I can't do this. I cannot eat the rest of them. And if they stay in this car, I will. So I rolled down the window and literally chucked one at a time butter tarts out the window.
Right.
And this story just came back to me like 2 hours ago. And then I can remember all the times suddenly where I have to put things in the bin. And like Miranda on Sex and the City. Have you seen the episode? Did you ever watch it?
Yeah.
She puts cake in and then has to put soap on top of it, or she's going to eat it.
And what's sad is that I've seen this as just like in women's health magazines or just women's magazines. Like, if you don't want it, just put liquid on it. Like, without kind of really establishing that that's not a healthy behaviour.
Yeah.
So don't promote that as if, if you're worried, if your kids have left over any food, just quickly put some liquid on it, like washing up liquid. Like, no, like, let's talk about
why you want it, or why you don't want it, or what is going on there. And I have so many occasions where I've had to throw out more than half the package of something full and then damage it so that I'm not able to touch it again.
Yeah. And I think, Emma, you have been honest in saying that this helps right now. So if there is maybe, it's so personal, isn't it? But if there is maybe somebody that you can speak to about that, just to empathise and maybe check in on each other.
Yeah.
Just a non-judgmental thing. And what I found hard, Emma, is when I was recovered for years, I don't feel it anymore, but I felt like everyone was still watching me because they were so scared that I would ever get ill again. But again, it's that feeling like nobody's judging you or watching over you, but is genuinely there for you, and will then also talk about other things that are nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Don't see you as your difficult eating.
Yeah.
And every time you go for a meal, there's not like between each other. Just be their friend.
I also find confronting all of your other things in yourself is a helpful way of addressing food. And even just I've started meditating recently, and I feel like in that process of being able to check in with my thoughts, I'm able to check in with, am I actually hungry as well, is one of the thoughts where I'm able to then address that.
Yeah. And then I would say, Emma, I think it's really good to have both of our perspectives on this.
Yeah.
Because equally, from somebody who's come from a eating disorder of starvation, I then go, oh my God, is that person okay? And it's interesting to have a completely different relationship to food and hear somebody talk about their relationship to food, which is the opposite of yours.
Yeah.
And I suppose for me, it's just about respecting it, not getting scared for you, but being a good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've had opposite journeys. I think when you were going through your illness, my parents hired a nutritionist because I was overweight. So I think we have different sides to it that we will fight our whole lives, probably. And it's just about making sure that our words about food and our triggers don't impact the other.
That's what it is. Because I think by you saying, am I actually hungry? That's a little bit of for me, I'm like, should I be doing that? Should I be doing that with my food?
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So if hearing Emma saying that is something you need to ask yourself, if I then have a moment, I'm like, should I be asking myself that? The answer is no, actually, because for me, I've worked out my technique that even if I'm not particularly hungry at dinner time, I still am going to eat something because I need to keep a structure.
Yeah, and I likewise need to do it because it's not about the meal, it's about the bag of mini eggs that I bought and filled my face with in between meals.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad, Emma, that we can support each other in this.
Exactly.
So, Emma, you spoke about vegetarianism and becoming a vegetarian, but you then became a vegan, or you found yourself as your vegan self. So, can you please chat with our podcast listeners about that?
Yeah, I think what we have talked about as well in Fluff, between Fluff, who is me and Jess, is that we want to probably do a whole episode on veganism. So if you don't feel like you've got enough here, we'll come back to it later, because Jess is vegan, and Jess was vegan before me and was a bit of an inspiration when I started. But veganism is actually on the rise. In 2018, there's a documentary that talked about there being a 500% increase in America, which is not the world, but has a really big impact on the world. So you might have even noticed yourself, even if you're not vegan, when you go to any of the chain restaurants now, there's more than one option.
Yeah.
How exciting is that?
Risotto
or just salads.
Or salads, yeah.
And
quinoa salads.
I know we both said we like salads, but let's just put this to bed now. Vegans do not only eat salads.
Yeah, I make salad for myself like during the day, but when I go to a restaurant, I want like something in pastry.
But what is veganism? I've got a definition here from the Vegan Society, which actually, looking at the history, so they actually coined the definition of vegan in 1964 when the Vegan Society became a charity. So veganism has existed since then. Veganism is a way of living which seeks to exclude, as far as is possible and practicable, all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose. So that's more than food. Jess and I would say, or I would say for myself, I have a plant-based diet. It's easy to say I am vegan, but I do know that I do have other products in my life that are not vegan. My shoes, for example. So I do have some leather shoes. I have some skincare products that are not classified as vegan. But I would never eat any animal product again.
Yeah, exactly. And so in that way, some people might describe it as a lifestyle as well. So I suppose that extension to other elements of your life.
Yeah.
But I would also say, again, there's, the preachy vegetarian, the preachy vegan. I think just never push your ideals on someone too much.
Of course.
We are definitely environmental vegans because the facts are there that mass-produced farming, for example, is like one of the number one killers of the planet.
Yeah.
However, I would encourage any of friends, any listeners who make any changes. If you have one meat-free meal or one animal-free meal, there's like, it can make such a difference on your impact on the planet.
Any percent vegan is better than no percent vegan. So a lot of people are like, oh, I would really like to try it, but I just can't give up cheese. Fine, give up everything but cheese. That's so much better than doing nothing.
So it's like reducing your carbon footprint, but reducing your damage to the planet.
Yeah, like my parents who don't eat meat during the week. Amazing. And then they have their roast on the weekends or whatever, but they're doing what they would like to do, and they're still enjoying it. But we don't want to just talk about vegan, because as we said, we'll probably talk about that in another episode, because we have a lot of thoughts and ideas and actually recipes for you if we want to do that. But Jess you've done some research about other dietary practices based on religions, I think.
I decided to settle only on religions.
Oh, interesting.
I'd just like to give a shout out to our Fluff draw winner, James Easy. Well done, James, or congratulations, James, on winning the Fluff prize. But James said that it's like going to school as well, the Fluff episodes.
Oh!
So, carrying on from that, Emma and I want to learn through this. And so we have a slight knowledge of different faiths and guidance on foods. But hey, to be an inclusive community, if you've got any friends coming over for dinner, or you're in our work, we work with students or participants across multiple faiths.
Yeah, from around the world as well, yeah.
Exactly. So I think it's really nice to learn and be respectful of different people's faiths. As we said, don't question anyone on their dietary choices. So let's check in with some religions. So the religions we're just going to check in with here. Let's start with Buddhism. So for Buddhists, many are vegetarian, some are vegan. So if you are going to cater to a Buddhist friend, just check in with them on kind of meat, fish, eggs and dairy. Okay? Now, Emma, you mentioned earlier to me that you'd quite like to really learn about what does kosher mean.
Yep.
All right, so let's start with kosher, shall we? Which is for
Jewish.
Yes, correct. So Judaism. So Jews will only eat kosher food. Okay, so kosher refers to permitted foods that have been selected and prepared according to particular rules of the Jewish religion. Okay. So if you're having a friend who is Jewish who eats kosher, check in with them that their meat, which is beef, lamb, poultry and fish, is kosher.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're avoiding pork products and shellfish and seafood without fins and scales. So it is kosher if it has fins and scales, but it is not kosher if it does not have fins and scales.
And so kosher refers to, I believe, the process of creating that meat. So maybe how it is killed, how it is processed, which is the same with halal, I believe.
Absolutely. So, I'm just going to check in as well. So just to check in with your friends who are Jewish, such things as meat and dairy are never eaten at the same meal. So let's just check in with your Jewish friends if you're going to cater to them.
Yeah.
And so, yes, for halal, for the religion of Islam, this is meat from animals that has been killed according to Muslim law, right? Okay. And again, we want to avoid pork and pork products and shellfish and seafood without fins and scales.
Yeah.
So the things that you might want to check on the back of your recipes are things like gelatin, emulsifiers, stabilizers, and additives from animal origin that is not halal. Moving into the religion of Sikhism, many Sikhs are vegetarian. So again, just checking in there. I'd say just check in with that person individually, but we're looking at mostly vegetarian.
Because people might also have their own relationship with this religious component of their food, and some might be more inclined to follow the laws and some not.
Absolutely. Especially checking in with the religious calendar as well. Are there points of the religious calendar, for example, where Ramadan is being observed and we need to support our friends who are fasting at that time? What can they have? And also here we have the Rastafarian faith. Again, many are vegetarian or vegan. an avoidance of pork and pork products. Rastafarians prefer to eat a pure and natural diet, which could exclude, here it says, coffee, tea, processed, non-organic food.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think the main thing that I'm just learning here off just this overview is to ask.
Yeah, because off the back of that, those are religions. But I mean, I mentioned earlier that even within my family, there are 7 different allergies.
Yeah.
They are on...
Ingrid, are you okay?
Did you just fart at our door?
It sounds like Ingrid just walked to the door to fart.
Okay. And then
she knew we're talking about food.
Yeah. Okay, just let me finish. I'm going to backtrack so we can edit
We've had
that
burps,
out.
we've had farts.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier that in my family there are 7 different allergies, and actually I watched a documentary recently that was talking about how food allergies are on the rise because of the additives in our food. They think, perhaps, but maybe it's just about the medicine. We're more aware of what people are eating and we have more testing. So just check in with whoever you're going to have for dinner.
Well, Emma, I was going to say, I don't like it when people say things like, oh, well, I've served this, you must eat it.
Yeah.
Because so this was not that long ago that I went round somebody's and they knew that I was vegan, and I explained why. Also, I have a history of severe allergies, including dairy, and they prepared quiche. Oh no, not quiche, omelette.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but I just cannot eat eggs.
Yeah,
I have not hardly ever eaten eggs, and that's not to be a princess. I cannot deal with eggs, and I cannot deal with the way that they're produced. And they were like, oh, just eat it, come on.
Yeah.
And that was so uncomfortable for me because I actually couldn't in that moment.
And often it's regardless of whether it's someone who's done it by choice, and I'm doing that in air quotes because that sometimes gets a bit of a thing around it, or if it's a actual medical allergy, or if it's a spiritual thing, it's not up to you to decide what someone else is going to put in their body.
Yeah.
If you haven't got the food for them, just be honest and be like, I forgot, or I didn't ask, or help them find something else. Don't make them feel bad about their lifestyle.
I mean, you're there to see your friend, right? Or there to cater or invite someone around your home.
Yeah.
So why don't make them feel like a burden? Because trust me, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
So,
we have spent so much time talking about food. I knew we would. This topic is everything.
Podcast listeners, we hope you don't mind that it is going to be a longer episode.
This is a long one, everybody. Because we actually have a game that I just really want to do still.
So Emma and I both discovered we used to do this with our friends when we were young. It used to drive my mum kind of insane because basically it's blindfold yourself and then try some foods or try food combinations. We've gone for food combinations today.
Yeah.
But we want to share this as just a fun thing to do in quarantine.
Yay!
If your fridges are stocked,
and
this is a fun game.
You can do this either and be brutal, or you can do it and be kind. And I think I've been quite kind but interesting today.
I've been kind but interesting.
We've both prepared 2 food combinations that we're going to feed to each other blindfolded and just see what their reactions are.
Okay, so Emma is putting on a delightful eye mask. Podcast listeners, it is time for Emma's... Hold up, Emma.
All right, I'm excited.
It's Emma's first food combination. So Emma, I'm gonna help you take a bite of
All
this.
right, I can smell one ingredient, so I know what one ingredient is.
Wow. Okay,
But that's all right.
There's a few things on here. There's probably 5 flavors that I'd like you to distinguish.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it in your mouth and you can take a bite because it should be done in 2 halves. Okay, ready? Oh, she's not looking like she enjoys it.
I'm trying to taste it all.
Oh. Pickle, yes.
Sauerkraut.
Yes.
Something spicy.
Yes, Tabasco.
Lettuce.
Yes. And there's one other flavour. It was kind of like...
Give me the other bit.
Okay. This is so much fun. Right, ready? Oh, she's going for it all. Yay, well done, Emma. There's one more flavour. The faces. She's working really hard on this.
Oh no, I can't get it.
It was maybe quite a faint flavour. It was like a spread of sorts.
I didn't get it.
Well,
mustard?
No. Although that would have been good.
Yeah.
4 out of 5 ain't bad. I just put a little bit of passata tomato sauce.
Oh gosh, I didn't get that at all.
Maybe the triple pickle.
I think the pickle and the Tabasco Sorry, I just spat on it. Typical Tabasco is quite bold.
So it's basically like a lettuce boat with... what do you need?
I just need to cleanse my palate.
Oh, she's just finding her drink. So, Emma, what did that taste like? So, basically, listeners, it was a lettuce boat with a slice of... Was it?
Well, it was essentially a Jess salad.
It was a Jess salad. And it was a lettuce boat with a slice of gherkin, some passata, sauerkraut, pepper, and Tabasco. Nice.
Bene.
So, this is your second food combination. This is... it's out there. Out there, but... Right.
Oh, mouth's open.
She's ready. Second combination.
In my lips. So, peanut butter, maple syrup, walnuts.
Oh, she said peanut butter, maple syrup. Yes. Walnut, no, but...
What's that? Hazelnut.
Yes.
What's the long nut?
There's
Almond?
No. Think of the shelf.
Pecan.
Yay!
Oh, sorry, I confused that with walnut. That's what I meant.
So it was 3 types of nut: peanut butter, pecan, and hazelnut with some maple syrup on top. Emma, what was that like?
A bit sticky, but delicious.
I'm licking the peanut butter off the spoon. Was it good?
Yeah, I love that.
And you could really distinguish between all the nuts.
Yeah. Oh, the shapes helped.
So I'm just licking I'm licking all the residue peanut butter. So,
okay, quick.
Right.
Switch. That was really nice. That was like a whole meal. I don't think we're going to need dinner.
No, I want dinner.
Okay. All right, mine's underneath. I have a reveal here for myself to remind... now, I think I've gone a bit bolder than Jessica.
Oh, really?
And I've actually made 2 of the first one because I'm quite curious about it. It's a classic thing, apparently. Like, the people who do this love it. So
Okay.
you're either going to love it or hate it.
I'm into it. I'm ready.
It's only 2 ingredients. I'm going to ask you to take a bite.
Okay.
Bite.
That's so ridiculous. It's a gherkin and peanut butter. It tastes really good.
Do you like it?
I love it.
See, so I always grew up and people
That is
used to...
so good.
People talked about gherkin and peanut butter sandwiches.
That is so good,
I'm
Emma.
eating it now and I'm quite into it.
It's it takes a kind of real solid kick out the gherkin.
Yeah, they're sour gherkin, so not sweet.
That's really good.
Yeah, I'm quite into it, and that's literally your 2 favourite
It's
ingredients.
my 2 favourite ingredients in the whole world.
Oh, I'm glad you liked. I liked it too.
Emma, isn't that nice?
That's a good thing right there.
That's a new late night snack.
Yep. All right. Are you ready for number 2? Do you want a drink? Do you want to freshen your mouth?
I think I've drunk all my drink.
Yeah, but here's some of mine.
Oh my god, that is generosity for you.
Indeed. Take a sippy sue. Ooh, I just did it, Jess.
Sippy Sue. All right, I'm ready.
So you take a bite of this.
Oh.
Can you just hold that? Because I'd like to take a picture.
Rice cake.
Well, actually, they're
Jam.
not rice. They're not rice cake. But what is? It's not quite jam. But it's close.
It's like some kind of quince or pecan.
Indeed. Oh, careful! That's the point. Pecan, and it's a. Can you just guess? Maybe the type of fruit?
I need another bit of the fruit bit just on its own.
Okay, I'll move that.
It's delicious.
And do you mind if I just give you a finger bit of it?
Hit me up. Let me suck. Oh, finger.
Sorry.
Apricot.
Yeah!
Yay!
Yeah! It's
Emma, that
apricot
was so
spread.
good.
It's apricot spread from Italy.
I can't believe you gifted me the Italian. That is so yummy.
Oh, sorry, that is so stale.
The
Rice cake. I did not realise it was that stale.
I had that rice cake earlier and it wasn't. It's just because it's been sitting out.
Right.
But that is good.
The apricot spread is delicious.
The apricot spread's delicious, and with the pecan.
Yeah, it's a good mix.
Emma, we discovered new things.
I know.
Just when we thought we had no snacks in the house, it was all before us.
Yeah.
I love that we've each used peanut butter, gherkin, pecan. I nearly went for rice cakes, but I didn't.
The classics.
Yummy. Podcast listeners, this has extended. We know most podcasts should be 29 minutes or an hour. But if the editing doesn't bring
29 or an hour. So quite specific.
If this, thank you for staying with us till the end. But food is just food, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you stop listening at an hour, you just miss the invention or the discovery of the pickle and
peanut
butter, and we're all right with that. We'll keep that for ourselves.
Yeah, but I mean, we talk about food 24 hours a day, so here is us talking about it for 1 hour, 19 minutes, 45 seconds. Podcast listeners, we love you. Thank you so much. And enjoy our other episode that we're releasing today, which is on the topic of astrology.
I had to think for a second. What is it? So if you want to get in touch, we are at Fluff Creatives on Instagram and Twitter, and you can email us at fluffinquiries@gmail.com. We love all your comments and your shares and your rating, and it all really, really helps us to grow. And Jess is just eating the invented sweets as I mentioned that. So enjoy your meals today and for the rest of your life, everyone.
Cheerio!
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to rate and subscribe.
We're excited to welcome you into our Fluff family and bring you some gorgeous sparkles every Friday.
Oh,